record on. Nice. Yeah, so as you see in the picture, you have a few young children, middle childhood. And so we talk about socioeconomic status, we talk about ethnicity and race, language. We have some issues with language now, and we talk about those, multicultural education, gender differences in the classroom. Even in this class, there is one, besides myself, there's only one male student in this class. What's his name again? Anybody remembers his name? Ladies dominate the show in education. I'm not seeing him on here this afternoon, not yet, at least.
Sir Jordan?
Jordan, I think that's his name. I'm not absolutely sure, but I think that's his name, right? And then we talk about intelligence and learning styles. Okay, so let's move on. So we get an insight. What is the impact of culture on teaching and learning? So as we said, so students differ in terms of their ethnicity, in terms of their culture, in terms of their social class and their home language. And teachers need to be able to identify the cultural differences, the ethnic differences. In Trinidad and Tobago, in Guyana, in some parts of Jamaica, and some other Caribbean, you may have the ethnic differences between East Indians and Afro-Trinidadians, and you have mix, what in Trinidad we call Douglas. We have different terms to different Caribbean islands. But by and large, the other Caribbean islands are mainly one ethnicity because of the slave trade and the distribution of slaves and indentureship and so on. I think, Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana would consider to be the most diverse, the most mixed in terms of the populations. So that there are some cultural differences. However, in terms of social class, in terms of the class structure, we have lower class, middle, upper middle, lower middle, etc. You have more stratification of the society based on class. And therefore, your students coming into your class, the teacher needs to have that level of awareness as to what might be appropriate, what might be inappropriate, how you could reach this group or reach that group, and how to interact with them and use their culture in a positive way to reach them and to communicate what you're teaching. Okay, there's always talk about the middle class grouping, and the belief is that the majority of society follows a middle class sort of orientation, right? The values of the middle class. So cultural diversity looks at these different factors as identified here in this diagram: social class, race, ethnicity, whether it's disabled or non-disabled, religious orientation, might be geographic location as well, and gender. Those are the different areas. Socioeconomic status and student achievement. Now, when we say socioeconomic status, what are we talking about when we say socioeconomic status? And what can you glean from the images that I have on that accompany this slide about socioeconomic status and education? So 2 questions I'm asking. What is socioeconomic status? And what you can gain from the picture?
So the status deals with how well off there is, I guess. And the status is be like middle class and they like that.
Yes, okay, so socioeconomic status has to do with person's economic standing, which depends on the economic standing in life, depends on what? What determines?
Income and education. So the parents' income and education level and stuff like that?
That's correct. So your income, your education level, well, of course, your income would be dependent on your job status, right? So those are the factors that would impact upon your socioeconomic status. So from the pictures there, what differences are you seeing, or possible differences can be inferred from the images in terms of socioeconomic status?
So they the father with the children, they would have like they would be able to get like more experience, and I lost the word that I want to say, but they will have more opportunities afforded them.
Enrichment. Mhm.
Yeah, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Compared.
Compared to the boy who is there, because you see, he's by himself. He has no one to assist him.
Mhm.
And the way like him, the way that he is doing, I believe, his homework in
Mhm.
front of there's alarm.
Yes,
Yeah.
alarm.
But he wouldn't really have much opportunities to probably get a good job and stuff like that.
Right. Okay. So there's a connection that can be seen from socioeconomic status. So as potential teachers, students are going to come into your class. All of them are not going to come from the same socioeconomic status, unless you like in Trinidad, you have different types of schools. Some schools we call prestige schools and non-prestige schools, and some of the prestige students come from some of the prestige schools. The majority of them come from homes that are basically well off, middle to upper class, of higher socioeconomic status. So when those schools have a PTA meeting, you would know the pavement and the road outside the schools will be packed with all kinds of cars and SUVs and all kinds of high-end vehicles. When the normal other schools having a PTA meeting, you wouldn't know because there are no sets of vehicles and so on. When school over, you have a whole line of vehicles lined up to pick up children in some schools. And in other schools, when school is dismissed, everybody's rushing for a maxi or a taxi or looking for the bus or looking to walk. So right there, you see the differences in socioeconomic status. And how do you think then the socioeconomic status impact upon student achievement? Does it play a role? Do you think it plays a role in how well students achieve or how well they don't achieve?
Sometimes, but not all the time.
Okay, sometimes. And what do you mean? When you say not all the time, what do you mean?
So it have some students who come from the lower end of the socioeconomic status, and they still perform well, they still push and they do well and just as good, probably even better than the ones who better off than them.
Right, because
Yes,
they are driven and they, yes, Kenya, go ahead.
no, so I was saying that I agree with what Stephanie was saying.
Yeah.
So, but I would like to add to that, even though sometimes the children who come from a less fortunate background, sometimes they might be able, they will get the grades to go to college, but because the parents can't afford it, they just have to settle for some, like a job beneath them, whereby
Right.
which if they came from a parent or a background with money, they'd be able to go to college and have the
Go
life.
further. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because some of them have to leave school to work to help the home, help their younger brothers and sisters and that sort of thing. So yes, you're right. But sometimes these students from lower socioeconomic status are driven to excel, are driven, are motivated to do well, you know, and as teachers, you can't stereotype. You can't say, well, because this child came from this background or that background, you treat them differently, or you don't show them the kind of a respect, or you don't show them the kind of a love and care and go the extra mile for them. Then you go for the extra mile from a student who would have everything. They always have all their books, have all their clothes, have everything. And so because they have more means, all right? So some students from lower socioeconomic status are very motivated to do well, to pull themselves up and to excel. And there are some students from a upper to middle and higher socioeconomic status, they feel that they have everything and everything is made for them. So they don't put out all the amount of effort that they should because they feel that everything will always fall into their lap, okay? Right. There are differences in terms of how individual parents from lower and middle class backgrounds raise their children. So many children coming from low socioeconomic status homes receive an upbringing that is less consistent with school values, with what they expect of school, and than do middle class families. Because the middle class families would have children to, you know, to conduct themselves, behave properly, you know, and to conform to societal values. Sometimes in the lower socioeconomic status homes, the lower income homes, they're struggling to make two ends meet, they're struggling to survive. Children might be late for school, they don't have the means, they don't have proper lunches, they don't have proper breakfast, and so on. And so they may struggle in the school setting, but that doesn't mean that a teacher cannot reach out. A teacher is there to be observant and to see that, okay, this child only has one pair of pants or one overall or one shirt, and that is what they're coming with each and every day. And for those of you who are Trinidadians would know that there are some depressed areas which are usually referred to as hotspots. But sometimes children from these hotspots in Laventille and Sealots, they do pretty well. Some of them win national scholarships. I know one who was in my daughter's class in secondary school who was studying medicine, but she would not, when they were traveling, she wouldn't drop out where she lived. She would drop out somewhere else and walk to where she lived because she didn't want people to know where she was living. Yeah. From one of the top colleges, one of the head boys of the Queen's Royal College was living in Sealots, which you would call a very depressed and a hotspot area. A lot of guns, a lot of drugs, a lot of nefarious activities. You know, you won't want to be caught there anytime in the night if you're not living in those areas. Yeah, but they still push through and they still excel. There was a special documentary on TV6 of a young man who is at Hugh Wooding Law School now, who grew up in the Beetham area. And he says one day one day he wants to be Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. And who knows if he would accomplish that goal, but he has taken a different path, and the community supports him. The community holds him up as a good example. All the gangsters and so on, they like him. And he's an activist. He's does a lot of charity work and so on, and a lot of work helping children and so on. Community, a young man, 20-something years old. So the fact is that as teachers, you can't stereotype. You can't say because a student comes from here or there, they expect you to do good, bad, or indifferent. But you have to treat all of them as best as you can and try to help them. But we are saying that the child rearing practices, what children are exposed to, would differ from place to place. And some children are in a more enriched environment because of the income levels of the home. Again, also community factors. While I was teaching at secondary school, some students said that they had a routine. Sometimes gunshots would be going off in the area at a particular time, and they know everyone in the household knew what to do: drop on the ground, get under the bed, etc., etc. Now, thinking of that, you're studying for exams, you're doing A levels, and that is the kind of environment that you're in. Children leaving and going to school, stepping over bodies on their way to school because there's a shooting early in the wee hours of the morning, bodies still on the ground. So they might be exposed to a lot than other children are not exposed to based on the community that they're in. And then they're on the other end of the spectrum, there are children who would have never stepped in public transport. They have been dropped and picked up all their lives and so on. So school and community factors do impact the neighborhood that children grow in, do impact can impact them positively or negatively. Some of them look at the neighborhood and they say, I don't think I could have accomplished anything in this life because of the neighborhood I'm from. And then some of them think, I believe that I could, if I work hard and I focus enough, I could accomplish a lot. Some of them are consumed. Sometimes some of them are, the neighborhood gobble them up into its culture. And some of them, their parents protect them. And they might be in a church group, they might be in a non-governmental organization, some club or something that will take them away from the different negative activities that are going on within the group. In the United States, middle-class children are exposed to greater resources, better paid teachers, and better advantages. Trinidad too, in a great extent. You have different levels of schools. I know in Barbados also, you have the top and the medium level and the lower level tiered schools, and it depends on the resources that the school has. Yeah. Okay. So even disadvantaged children can be resilient. A colleague of mine who was a principal of a school in another depressed area said that she found that she had this group of students. They were Rastafarian, about 3 or 4 of them in this, and one was in standard 4, next one in standard 3. They were in steps. And she found that they were all doing so well. They were always in school on time, doing real neat and so on. And she inquired after them. They were brothers and sisters in the same school, Rastafari. And she found out that they were living in a garage with their parents in one of the depressed areas of the country. But they were all doing very well. And you would think that they came from this good home and this proper environment and that sort of thing. So they are, so children can be resilient once there's a supportive school community, a safe and an orderly environment, and most importantly, positive teacher to student interactions. So teachers can make a difference in children's lives, children who are experiencing different difficulties and trauma in a home environment. Yeah, so feel free to stop and ask a question if you need to, right? School, family, and community partnerships. Of course, there is always a benefit to the children when there's a link between the school, the community, and the home. Children always benefit. And so where there's a professional educator can reach out to families and assist families with parenting skills, teach parents how to parent properly, what to expect, what not to expect, how to speak to their children, how to interact with their children, how to get their children to cooperate and do well. Okay. Communicating will inform families about the school programs and student progress, proper communication. They can also involve the parents in volunteering for activities at school. Some parents like to know that they can contribute time, if not money or resources. Stacy has her hand up.
Yes, sir. Just to add to the parenting too, because when students know that their parents have a good relationship with the teachers, they tend not to misbehave in the classroom because they know that anytime, that because of the relationship between the parents and the teacher, the students would more like keep in line.
Yes, because the teacher could easily contact mommy or daddy or something like that, Involving families in homework and goal setting and curriculum link activities, that's important. So I'm not in favor of this new wave of homework that students are getting in primary school and sometimes in secondary school, where the assignment is such that only an adult could do it. I don't know why they're giving children these heavy assignments, and more or less the parents are doing the assignments, or bigger brother or bigger sister doing the assignments. Anybody care to comment on that? The assignment should be given for students to do, not assignments for the parents to do.
So I have had nieces and nephews that I would have done assignments for them. Those assignments are basically science. Like when you have to present probably something about the ecosystem and you have to like bring animals and these different things, right? So most likely you as a parent have to do it because the child, although you could show the child, and plus while doing it, you could also tell the child, well, this is exactly every detail that you're doing, you just tell them it and explain it. That is the parent's responsibility. But most parents just be so lazy, they tend to just do it quick and put it in their hand, and then when they go to school, they can't explain it properly. Because I had witnessed like children presenting their thing and they had no idea like what they're doing, like they had no idea nothing. So it has it good and it has it bad.
Right. They don't really learn anything because more or less the parents. But sometimes it's a collaborative effort between parent and children. But many times the parents just, as I say, they just take over the whole project and just do it and get it done because they're fed up. So so that doesn't work so well. I'm not in favor of that. I like when you give students assignments, students should be able to do the assignments.
So a lot of teachers, teachers are directing the instructions to the parents instead of directing the instructions to
what is going on?
Because it's like the students could do it, it's just firstly they have to understand what to do.
So they're probably doing that because
yes, Kemba.
So they're probably doing that, I don't know, I just saying it's to see how involved the parents are in the work that the child is doing.
For what?
I don't know. So I don't agree with it neither.
Yeah, because I find it's
I don't agree with it
out of
either,
hand.
but
It's getting out of hand.
Yeah, there are some parents that might not be able to be
do some of the
involved as
activity.
much. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then some of them busy, they're working. And some might be, a few might be home, you know, and different things like that. So anyway. Includes
So,
as well as let businesses make contributions and cooperate as you can. Yeah, somebody saying something?
yes, I was saying, and another thing too,
Mhm.
in some instances, some of the parents don't even know how to assist this
No,
child with
they
that
don't have the
assignment.
education level. They don't have the
Yeah.
education level to assist, especially in some more difficult areas like maths and so on, right? So teachers, that's something that I think teachers need to stop. Give students activities or assignments that they can do on their own. So,
But sir, before you go ahead,
yes,
after
Cody.
doing the evaluation from the oral presentation and then from the paperwork, you definitely could tell that
Whether
they
the
were
student
showing
was
off.
involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you must know what they know, how they speak and how they put it over, whether they know what they're talking about or they don't, you know? Moan.
Hi, sir, I came in late. Can you
Yeah.
give me a synopsis of what you're discussing, please?
Yeah, we're looking at student diversity today, chapter 4.
Oh, okay, so thanks.
All right, okay. So you'll pick up as we go along. Right, so supporting the achievement of children from low income groups. So you can do intensive intervention. So once you know where a child is, you have to see how best you can to give the child the required assistance. So some teachers, they would stay in lunchtime. Some of them sacrifice part of their lunchtime to give them a little extra reading and extra work to help them to improve and to increase, because children from low income groups need the extra support because they may not have all the books, they may not have all the texts, they may not have the required assistance at home, but some of them are very willing. And if they see that you are interested in them, you might be able to help them help them in terms of their development, in terms of their achievement. But sometimes if they're left on their own, they just drift away and they fall, quote unquote, fall through the cracks because they don't have the support systems at home. And if you have good interventions where parents could help them to prepare better for schools, research suggests that parents play an important role in improving achievement and adjustment of all children. Once parents are involved, then their children usually feel that education is very important. Parental involvement. Parents and other family members have considerable influence over a child. Yes, Christina.
Hi, sir.
Hi.
I am moving back a couple slides.
Mm-hmm.
I was just, soaking in what is being said.
Yeah.
I encountered a child.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the teacher is teaching in the classroom,
Mm-hmm.
but the child was not understanding, and he will not say, well, in virtual setting, he's not saying anything.
Right.
The mother of the child, parents are separated. The mother of the child asked me to give the child some assistance.
Right.
So
how old is the child?
He is 11.
Right. Okay. So he's in standard 4 or 5?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I gave him homework to do that he should have been able to do, straightforward questions. Mm-hmm. Nothing elaborate that you have to go and research to find an answer. Straightforward maths sums.
Yes.
He came back with the homework, but they were all wrong. Mm-hmm. Now he did the work correctly in class with certain prompts. Mm-hmm. So I asked the father, how does the child do the homework at home? Because he lives with his father, his mom does not live at home with them. Right. And the response of the father was, well, he don't get involved in the homework because he wants the child to build confidence. How does one deal with that? Now, my question to the father was, okay, so the teacher is teaching in class, he's not asking any questions, seeing that he don't understand. Right. So when he does the homework at home, he will do it how he think it should have been done because he doesn't really understand what was happening. So how does a teacher deal with something like that? Right. Well, so what job does the father have? The father works from home. He has his own business, but he works from home. In what area? Design rendering.
Design rendering.
Design and render. He renders buildings, do the 3D rendering of
okay.
homes and buildings.
Right. So next time, what I want you to do, I want you to ask him the skill that he has developed. If he's self-taught, if he taught himself everything.
Okay.
Right? And most likely say, well, no, I was taught, I had this person, I linked with this one or whatever. And let him know basically it's the same thing. Before you become independent in a skill or competence, you often need somebody to work with you and to give you the guidance and give you the skill and the competence before they release you on your own. You don't just throw them into the water and say, swim, learn to swim. Somebody has to teach you how to swim. You don't give a child a bag and say, go and learn to ride.
I found it so strange, the answer that he gave me. I was like, first time I meet a parent who would just say, well, okay, however he do the homework, he did it.
He did it, yeah. And let him learn for himself.
He wants him to build confidence. And I'm saying, okay, so when he gives the work back to the teacher, let's say in school face-to-face or even virtual, and it comes back with 99% of the questions wrong. Would that break his confidence rather than build it?
Yes, it will. Okay, so we might have a short break to come back in because our time, 40 minutes is almost up, right? So when we come back in, we'll take a point from Stacey. Yeah, but yes, some